So in this case, my first item is new menu M, new game M. What I have to do is actually create a CC menu, and I call that main menu. I go through CC menu with items, then I list all of my menu items here. So in this case, I only have the one new game M, so I just put new game M here and nil. Then I align my menu items, so I'm going to be aligning them one on top of each other. So that's main menu, align items vertically, and then I just add the child to the scene here to self. So main menu, which is right here, I'm just going to add that to the scene. Sorry, after I'm done that, I return, and then I have to define this new game, which you see up here. So the menu item, it selects new game. So I go down here to this method of new game, to sender, go through replace scene. So actually, Cocos 2D makes this very, very simple. As you can tell, this menu item, I can just simply add a couple more menu items here. And all I have to do is just define their method, and then replace the existing scene, and I'm given a transition, CC zoom, flip, angular transition, and that can be a whole bunch of different things. So I can, if I just delete that, let's just see what I can do here. Flip angular transition, flip X, flip Y transition. So pick that one. Transition with duration, 1, and then scene, the scene I'm going to transition into is my game scene node. So game scene will take us back up and send us into this game scene up here, which we'll talk about in a second. After that, obviously, well, in this case I have at the end here dealloc, which is just going to deallocate items. I don't have anything in here, this is just the super dealloc. Right now it's just the standard, comes with the template. But eventually I'm going to have to, once I get more things in here, mainly in the game scene, I'm going to have to deallocate a bunch of stuff. So, but for right now, this is very, very basic. Just want to get something done for coding. Have this menu item. And what that's going to do is take us into game scene. So I select that, and it takes us right here into game scene. So if I go into game scene, I'll do the header first. Don't have really much anything here, create it the same way. Import the Cocos 2D header, interface the game scene, CC, it's the same thing, CC layer, but this is just CC color layer, and then I have my ID scene. So what I could do here is initiate with color, and then give the scene a background color type of thing, but for now, leaving it blank is just going to be a black background, which is fine for now. Eventually, probably I'll have that go to an image background, but I'm not worried about that kind of stuff right now. Same thing, but we'll go back here. Same thing with the last one. Import game scene header. Implement the game scene. Define the game scene here, or the scene here. And we'll get into our initiate. And what I'm doing here is I just left this. All I really was trying to do is get this to flip over to a new class, the game scene, from the menu. So once I did that and got that working, that's all I really was worried about there. But I also wanted to just test out making a animated sprite. And surprisingly, Cocos 2D, how good it is, there's very little tutorials on how to do a lot of things. And number one, it was sort of hard to find how to do this CC animate, or the animated sprite. I did happen to find one good tutorial, which I'll put on the blog, which is where I got this from, and it actually works really, really well. I seen one other one. There was only one other one that was pretty good that I seen, but it didn't use the cache. It used a loop where we just identified. It was almost identical to this, but the cache is just a much faster and cleaner way of doing this. So I'll just go through how we're doing it here. Oh, another thing too is any time you try and find a tutorial, it seems to be outdated. So they're using 0.99 in Cocos 2D, and everything seems to be working fine here. Yeah, it looks like there's no, actually there is one warning, which I'll get to in a second, but every time I watched a tutorial and I went to implement it, it was a little bit outdated and it wouldn't work, it would crash, so I had a hard time finding something that would work, but this does work. So it's CC Sprite Frame Cache, And like I said, I'm using the cache here, which is I think is new in the new version of Cocos 2D. So I just give it a name, cache, then shared sprite frame cache. And I'm going to add a sprite frames with file. So in here I have my file, which contains all of my sprite. So all the different frames that my sprite is made up of. So I've named it blob, which comes from the tutorial I used, and I'll show you this file in a second. It's a plist file, so it just goes through sort of like an XML file. It just lists all the different images and their related attributes, so the size, the width, the height, and all that kind of stuff. Then I come through here and I want to animate this sprite from the cache. So I have CC animation, which is another command here. I call it animation. CC animation allocate, initiate with name, idle, and have a delay. So the delay between the frames when it switches over is 1 and 12, 1 over 12. And then what I do is this is actually pretty cool. I like this. This is from a few different tutorials, but this guy uses it as well. So actually in his tutorial it was set up a little bit different, and I just had to make a little change, but this is what I've done. For I equals 1, so obviously we have the first frame, and my plist or my animation is made up of 24 frames, so I say less than, or for every time I'm less than or equal to 24, I'm going to do this right here, and then I add 1, increment by 1 for I. So frame, so I have an NS string here, and I give it a name, F name, so frame name. NS string with format, and then I list here, this is where it's pretty neat. All of my images within this sprite sheet are named the same. So in this case, this is the name of the images that I placed in my sprite sheet, and it would go blob idle 1, blob idle 2, blob idle 3 to go through each of these lists. So I have blob idle, this is sort of the name of it right here. So this would be one of your images you stick in. Mine actually has this 133 going 50 in the end, but so we go start at 1 and we go all the way to 24. So what you do is, to replace the 0, 1, which would be the identifier for the blob image, I put a %02i, and then I for my name, and then I put an I at the end here, so that every time this increments, so right now it's 1, so it's going to be blob idle 0, 1, and then it's going to be, when that increments to 2, it'll be blob idle 0, and the I would be 2, and it would go through all the way to 24. So that makes sure that in the animation, as we move through here, it's going to pick up every frame and do them one at a time. So in the animation, we add the frame, cache, sprite with frame by name, and F name, which would be right here. Okay, that's a pretty neat way of doing it. And I'm going to show you how to make this plist and get the images once, if I have enough time here. Let's just check how much time I've been here. 18 minutes already. Alright. So, csprite at blog equals cache sprite, create sprite with frame name, blog idle, and what we're doing here is just saying my initial sprite to display on the screen. I just give it a name blob, and I grabbed that from the cache because we already have all of the images in here already. So just for my initial sprite, I'm just going to grab it right from there, sprite with frame name, and I'm just going to call out the first image, so it's the 01 image. That way I have it coming out of the cache, and it's just a nice clean way of doing it. And then once I have this all set up for my sprite, my animation, and my file here, my plist file, what I have to do is just throw an action in here to say repeat forever. So that's going to be my animation is going to repeat forever, so it keeps looping. I go action with action, CC animation, which is up here, action with animation, animation. So that's my CC animation right here. So I have CC animation, then animation. Blob, which is right here, my sprite, run action, action. One of my actions right here for my repeat forever, my animation. Right? So once I have that set up, now it's going to animate and loop forever. Now I just have to position it